And again, a pretty feel good story, not directly related to the playoffs. Of course, the number 20 Toyota is in the Owners' Championship playoffs, so there is that storyline to follow there. But how about Aric Almirola getting another win with Joe Gibbs Racing in that number 20 car? And Brandon, I know you were very quick in our grid chat saying he should be full time next year. I don't know that Aric really would want that at this point in his career. I think that's part of why he stepped
I
away
know.
from the Cup Series full time. But in terms of driving ability, in terms of a merit based, performance based conversation, I think you can certainly start having that at this point with how he's taken advantage of these opportunities with that Gibbs car.
Yeah, Aric Almirola didn't just drive around Cole Custer. I mean, he overpowered him. I mean, I love the way that these Xfinity cars drive at Kansas. I like the way the Cup cars drive at Kansas, but the Xfinity cars, especially, the ability to work the top lane and just clinging on to it for dear life because you feel like that's going to be the only way that the guy behind you is not going to get an edge. But they'll turn, as Steve Letarte said, they'll turn to left a little bit more. Like, yes, that is how you pass. Turn, but I get it though. You have to say it that way. I mean, he did turn left a little bit more, but I get what he's saying. It put a little more bite into the turn to get around him. But man, he overtook the defending series champion Aric Almirola. He deserves a full time ride. Yes, I know the reality is the reason he doesn't have a full time ride is because he walked away from the full time ride with Stuart Haas, and yeah, he's probably not going to be as much as I would enjoy it. He's not going to be Justin Allgaier racing on Saturdays with his family on Sundays. That's probably not in his plans. But man, he's still got the talent to do it. And I think Matthew said in the chat that day that it just reminds you. I think it was Matthew. Just reminds you just how much talent is behind those drivers that are not in Cup anymore, like Aric Almirola and Cole Custer. Cole, of course, going back to it, but just showing you how much uh, strength, in the car they still have. Like the best of the best in the Cup Series, even in the mid tier or the low tier, when they go down to Xfinity or trucks, like they still are. I know we laugh at it, but they still are some of the best stock car drivers on the planet. Those that decide to take that venture on, they still are some of the best to do it. And that's why they're there.
Yeah, well, and again, I think when you look at the back end of the Cup Series results, like, obviously it hasn't been the year that Daniel Hemrick would have wanted, but Daniel Hemrick won an Xfinity Series title and, has only still won that one race, but he's had plenty of runner-up finishes, plenty of strong runs in the past. We know he can certainly drive a race car, very, very well, and he's proven that in the Xfinity Series before, as has Justin Allgaier, who never really got a good break in the Cup Series, as has now Aric Almirola, who won a few races. Certainly was not the top guy at Stuart Haas late in his career, but again, I think it's just proof that I don't know if it's just driving style or sometimes guys adapt better to the Xfinity Series cars, but everybody that's there racing on Sundays, maybe not everybody 100% of the time, but the vast majority of the time, I think you could say this about the Cup Series field. They are there for reasons beyond just bringing sponsorship. Sponsorship is obviously a huge part of it in the sport nowadays, but there's talent all throughout the Cup Series field, whether you're looking at the front of the grid or the back of the grid. And I think you see what Aric Almirola and Cole Custer are doing. And again, we'll see how Cole does next year. I'm very anxious to see what he can do in that Haas factory car, because when he was driving for Stuart Haas in Cup, aside from the win in Kentucky, for the most part, it was a bit of a struggle. And then he drops back down to Xfinity. He wins a championship. He might win a championship again this year. So I think that all throughout the Cup Series field, no matter where you look, you can't discredit these guys who are running in the 20s or sometimes even the 30s, because there's just all sorts of factors that have to go your way to be successful in Cup. And for some, it's easier to drop back down to Xfinity for whatever reason, whether you want to step away from the grind like Aric Almirola did, or whether you want to kind of reinvent yourself like Cole Custer has and Justin Allgaier has. It's worked out very well for them as well.